Everyone gathered in front of the swordsman building. A guy yelled that everyone needed to gather there half an hour before. He punished those who were 30 minutes late by telling them to run on the ground. Nobody has common sense, he said to everyone. While Olivia hid behind a tree, scared and watching everything and everyone, she thought it was freshman treatment. She didn't want to go through that headache. If someone came early, they were free to go, but if they came late, then they had to put their head in the ground. She heard someone saying hello to her from behind. A guy named Ray was sitting there on the top of the tree. Olivia introduced herself as well. She noticed his clothes, they were white. She noticed that he was from the magic department. Ray came down and asked Olivia if he was handsome or not. She suddenly started thinking, who was that creep? She got speechless suddenly. He again asked if he was so handsome that she would be ready to get married to him. For her, it depends on taste, as everyone has a taste in men. Ray asked about her interest in him as a future husband. With his beautiful blue eyes, purple hair, and clean skin, she did find him like a character that came out of a novel, but she remembered that she already had Daniel. She denied him directly, saying she already had her future husband. She couldn't go and meet other men other than Daniel. He mumbled something, but she didn't hear what he was saying. She heard someone say to keep doing laps around the training ground. She noticed that they were running now, and she couldn't stand around hiding herself any longer. She was hiding in the bushes. She asked Ray if he was good with magic. Ray was good with magic. She asked him if he could teleport her into the center of the running freshmen. He agreed and started doing his magic. With a blink of an eye, she opened her eyes, and she was on the ground with the other candidates running along with them. The magic was so cleverly done that nobody noticed her joining the race. They ran towards the end point, but the orange-haired guy ordered them to run again except for the first place. She was pissed that only the first place would get off easily. She wanted to thank Ray because he helped her get into the race. He wondered how Olivia forgot him. Olivia surprised him a lot. She was as beautiful as she always was. He wondered how she did not remember when he referred to himself as her future husband. He remembered the old talk between him and Olivia when she said, "When you meet someone who makes your heart beat so fast and makes it hard to breathe, that's the person you should marry." For Ray, it was Olivia. But Olivia did not feel the same way about him. The orange-headed guy shouted at them again for being tired. Many were tired and exhausted. It was such a hot day. She was stinking in sweat and starving as well. He told everyone if they wanted to get tired so easily like this, they should go back to where they came from. Or if they didn't like what he said, they should make him quiet with their skills. No one dared, so the orange-headed guy picked one girl from the crowd. She came forth, and he asked her to pick up the sword. Olivia remembered that girl was always in the last but never left the race. That girl was holding the sword awkwardly. She was trembling while holding the sword. The way she was standing, Olivia knew that she could collapse at any time. Many guys started to raise their hands to take her place instead. The orange-headed guy taunted everyone, saying every guy was trying to be her prince. He asked that girl whether she came to learn sword fighting or to make relationships with other guys. The pink-haired girl yelled at him, saying she came there to learn sword fighting. She got into a fighting position. They started attacking each other. She kept trying to defend herself from one attack after another, until the moment when he lifted her sword into the air. That sword dropped in front of Olivia rather than all other places. That girl lost the duel, but she thanked him. The orange-headed guy was disappointed by the freshman year as their skills were not good. He kept taunting the pink-haired girl, saying reckless guys always apply for the sword department even though they don't even know how to hold a sword. Again, the guy challenged someone to pick up the sword and face him in a duel. He pointed his sword tip at Olivia and asked her if she wanted to duel with him. Everyone started talking about her and her brother, and she belonged to Versace. She didn't want to be in the spotlight, but as long as she's away from the main character, it all goes well. She smiled and picked up the sword. She accepted his challenge. He asked Olivia her name. She replied that he was going to get lost. Did he still want to know her name? The girl behind the orange head yelled that in the swordsman department, they respect their upperclassmen. Olivia knew that when it comes to seniors, they always look for respect, but on behalf of juniors, they never respect them. It was bad manners to treat an opponent without sincerity during a duel. That's what she learned from her teacher. Olivia removed her coat and threw it away. She was ready to duel with him. He asked her to attack first, and she was prepared to not hold back anymore. She ran and landed her first attack on him with full power. The guy was pissed when he was not able to handle Olivia's strength. He swung his sword around, making more space for himself, and Olivia had to move back. Everyone started chanting, "Arnold, Arnold." They both were fighting each other while two guys from the top were watching them. They were the professors of Sumhal Academy in the swordsman department. They didn't expect Arnold to be that enthusiastic. It was normal, as he was fighting against Kyle's little sister. Tia was also a professor and Michael's colleague. It always seems like guys with temper issues have the same wavelength in swordsmanship, just like Arnold and Kyle. But Arnold was more humane compared to Kyle. Michael noticed the style she was using. She was still standing her ground against him. Michael noticed that the style might have been taught by Daniel. They both kept fighting, striking each other and defending themselves. Arnold noticed that she might be using Kyle's style. Arnold got more worried when he thought she might be using both their styles. He wasn't bad. He might be in the intermediary stage of swordsmanship. Arnold was fast, and his reactions were incredible. Olivia noticed that Arnold might have the potential to become a swordmaster. She started to feel dizzy. She was out of her limits and very hungry. Arnold wondered why she was just standing there and attacked her. She didn't have time to react as she was out of her limit, but her legs got tangled, and she was somehow saved from his attack. Arnold wondered what happened, and she got Void to attack Arnold. She got her chance and attacked his hand. Arnold lost the duel, and everyone started saying the freshman won. She appreciated the duel, raised her hand in support of him, and introduced herself to him. He took her hand and told her his name as well. He wanted to make things clear between Olivia and him. He provoked everyone just to fire them up. Olivia was well aware of all those traditions of Somehow Academy. It was the role he was given. Even she was following the swordsman department traditions. Even though he said it was a given role, he fought harder. There were no misunderstandings between them as they talked about it there. The duel was dismissed at the moment. She wanted to say something to Arnold. She was hungry. She wanted to eat something before the next training session. At Sun Palace, the Emperor had gathered some information from his informer. He gathered a good amount of information. The informer was assigned to gather more information about Olivia and her academic sessions. The Emperor said she seemed to be upset. It was because he teased her terribly, and he wouldn't be able to request her presence without a genuine reason anymore. His associates were thinking about excuses they could make. Olivia's eyes resembled her mother's, Cecilia, but Cecilia was more hostile towards the Emperor, while Olivia was not. Well, that's true that Lady Olivia was not like Princess Cecilia. He advised the Emperor not to take out his anger on her. It was a good thing that she wasn't like the Count, but she did have his appearance. Milo ignored it when the Emperor got angry at him, saying how dare he compare them both. She does not look like him at all. The Emperor had one thought in his mind for a long time. He was thinking of making Olivia his daughter-in-law. The candidate for Crown Princess had already been selected, and their studies had begun as well. Well, he was the Emperor, he could overrule anything. He could make ways for her. Milo advised him to reconsider his decisions. Milo thought it was not a good idea to take action that would later make him regret it with the House of Versace. But according to the Emperor, if Olivia says she likes the Crown Prince, then what's the issue with the House of Versace? After all, the Crown Prince will take his place after him, and that won't matter in looks either. Milo was still confused. The Emperor warned Milo if someone was actually bad-mouthing him. Milo got scared and told him nobody was doing anything to him. He thought everyone in his family was bullheaded. If he kept pushing the prince onto Olivia, then Princess Cecilia would haunt him in his dreams. The Emperor had no worries about that, as she was already doing that. He looked at the sky through the windows. Olivia ate so much her stomach was full. She found the weather lovely. After a rest, it would become a beautiful place for her. Things had been going well for her. She'd just kick around her feet until she graduated. The female lead was in the education department and the main male lead was in politics, so there was no chance she would run into them. Also, she had applied 1 year later, so they were in different years now, and meeting them was nearly impossible for her. She was sure about passing her exams and ensuring her safety. The purple-haired girl came to Olivia. Olivia didn't recognize who she was. Her name was Jasmine Lona. She found Olivia amazing during the fight and wanted Olivia to be friends with her. She said that loudly. Jasmine was shy. She said it loudly, maybe because of her red face or perhaps because she was the first person in this place to say they liked Olivia. Lady Olivia was trembling and trying to hold her smile, but she couldn't help smiling and said yes to Jasmine's friendship. Jasmine was blessed with that, but Olivia reminded her to attend the class first. Jasmine asked her why she picked up the sword for the first time, but Olivia didn't know, so she asked Jasmine why she picked up the sword. Jasmine wanted to be strong on her own. Jasmine had chosen a difficult path. She seemed brave to Olivia. She was running away at first. She thought life under someone's protection would be much better. Jasmine was thinking of an arranged marriage. Jasmine had chosen the swordsman department to seek refuge here so she could avoid marriage. Even Lady Olivia had chosen the swordsman department to avoid her fate of being killed by someone. Olivia truly understood her pain and suffering. Olivia told her if she cries, she's going to leave her there, so she needed to keep up with Olivia. Jasmia was smiling again, and the weather in Demire was nice. In the swordsman department's second-year classroom, Arnold was thinking about Olivia. She was incredibly strong, and he saw Sir Kyle's style, but she also used Daniel's style while fighting with her. A friend of Arnold came and asked him if she was good. One of his other friends told him that it's just a duel. He wins some, he loses some. Not to take it too hard on himself. Meanwhile, Arnold was still in his thoughts about how she learned Daniel's style. His friends kept trying to encourage him. One of his friends, to encourage him, said too much about Olivia, and Arnold got into a rage. He stood up, grabbed his collar, and slammed him into the pillar there. Arnold was angry because of how dare he say those words against Olivia. She fought well on the ground against him. His friend got scared and apologized to Arnold. Arnold knew Kyle's sister was on a completely different level. She was much stronger. Arnold understood that Daniel must have taught her swordsmanship so she could identify her weakness. In the first-year classroom, she was sitting there getting bored and thinking maybe people were talking about her. The homeroom teacher arrived. His name was Samuel Randrago. He was their homeroom teacher, and he would be overseeing their morning sessions as well. He told them to forget about notions and only need to keep thoughts in their mind about how to use a sword. If they fall behind in any of their subjects, they need to learn history, politics, military science, and international relations. Military and history offer a chance to learn about recognizing corruption in the military and the gains and losses involved in war. Everyone kept writing. They had to learn the basics of mathematics as well. People needed to learn everything. If they fail, those students will be sent away from the training ground. That was no different than a military ground to her. She couldn't just graduate by swinging her sword. Their swordsmanship skills weren't everything. A military that cannot think and make decisions on their own will eventually become a tool. The military isn't just a person. Rather than becoming knights, they should become part of the military that saves people. Olivia kept listening to it. She was fascinated by his confidence in speaking. He told them to get familiar with the exam schedule and professors' names. They'd be divided into different levels according to their swordsmanship skills the next day. A guy asked if there was any place they could train themselves in private for evening training. They could use the main training ground, and there was another ground for training. After they sign up, they'd be allotted time and they could use that. She asked if anyone could use the ground as long as they sign up, but only 10 students from the advanced class would pick first. He told them to perform well in the assignment match tomorrow. She needed to perform better tomorrow. If classes were assigned according to their skills, she wouldn't be with Jasmia in the same class. People were talking about Olivia and how she defeated Arnold from the second-year class. As they kept walking, a guy asked them if they belonged to the swordsman department. He asked a way to meet Olivia. Class was over, and she wondered what else she had to face. 2 students came and told Olivia a blonde man was outside waiting for her. She wondered who that blonde man could be. She forgot about him when the letters stopped coming to her. But when she met him again, everything stirred up for her. She was pissed. It was Giorgio. It had been a while since they last met. He asked her if she missed him, but why would she miss him by any chance? But for Giorgio, there wasn't a day he hadn't missed her. She was even more pissed. She thought he wanted to fight with her and was trying new ways. She heard girls talking about Giorgio behind her. She didn't notice how that crowd appeared out of nowhere. She wanted to leave that crowd as soon as possible. She asked Sir Giorgio if those people were staring at her or at him. Giorgio asked what stares she was talking about. Already pissed, she didn't say anything. Giorgio understood that people were making her uncomfortable. She never felt comfortable around him. He thought maybe it was because she was shy. She wanted to take his eyes out of his head. She was thinking of taking him somewhere with no people and beating the crap out of him. She didn't want to get involved with the second male lead anymore. She paused and thought if she kept meeting Giorgio, she'd end up meeting the crown prince. She asked if Giorgio had any plans today. If not, then they could eat together. Giorgio was flattered by this behavior of Olivia. He thought she was asking him for a date. The cafeteria was full of people. He told Lady Olivia to sit where she wanted, and he'd bring her plate to eat. He brought a variety of foods for Olivia because he didn't know what she would like. She was surely going to have an indigestion problem before she even started eating. As she was eating, she knew she had to sneak out of there before he noticed. Surely he would be looking for her in the swordsman department. Giorgio had enough with his food. He didn't eat very much as his stomach wasn't good at that time. He said he usually ate more than that. She thought maybe Giorgio liked to maintain his weight. She remembered the time when he said he was learning sword fighting. His hands were pale and lovely, she found. She kept staring at him. He mentioned that his master had quit teaching him sword fighting as he thought Giorgio had no potential in it. She was surprised that he did learn about sword fighting. He didn't actually learn anything in sword fighting but kept copying styles. He really sucked at learning, she thought. He must have been really bad if an egomaniac like him was acting all modest, she thought. But if he was good at sword fighting, rather than just having a good face and brains, he could have been the main lead, Olivia thought. She felt bad for him, as the role of the second male lead wasn't easy. He didn't need to have everything. He was talented in other things. He didn't understand what she meant by that. In Olivia's opinion, he had money, he could just hire anyone who could use a sword. Maybe he made the right decision in giving up on sword fighting. Giorgio was stunned by her thoughts. He asked again what she really meant about him being smart and talented, coming from a good family, and having money. He felt shy there. He was happy to hear her opinion regarding him. She was shocked and didn't understand what he was thinking, so she didn't bother him with thoughts. He found that Olivia was different from other women he had met. She was cold-hearted, frank, and honest about everything. She was strong as well. Giorgio found her a good person. She got pissed suddenly after hearing everything he said. She thought he was calling her ridiculously strong, mouthy, and a girl with a bad attitude. She mentioned that their relationship in the past was just pointless, needless words of exchange between them. Giorgio wondered which relationship she was talking about. She got angry and said he knew which relationship she was talking about. She had enough and never wanted to see him again. Giorgio didn't understand why she suddenly got mad at him. It wasn't sudden. A series of letters from him caused trouble for her. She didn't want to accept his apology and didn't want to increase her urge to hit him, so she asked him not to meet her again. Before she left, she reminded him one more thing. He should never intrude on her ever again. She didn't like it. Giorgio didn't understand what happened. She was leaving from there. Before she left, he grabbed her hand from behind, saying there was a misunderstanding between them. She got even angrier when he held her hand. He didn't want to make her angry but just wanted to talk. She didn't want to talk to him. He was making her repeat her words, so she made it clear to him that they should not meet ever again. She said goodbye and left. She had done her part there. All she had to do was turn her head away and walk straight. But it was a foolish idea, she thought. People were looking at Giorgio. She bumped into a girl, and a drink was poured on her uniform. The girl apologized to Olivia and asked her if she was all right. Olivia recognized the girl. She was trembling. She was Adrian, the female lead of that novel. In the original story, he spills grape juice on Olivia's training uniform, staining the white shirt. But in the original story, it happens in the last year. Olivia was in shock at how it was all happening to her now. Adrian was concerned about Olivia's shirt and the stain on her training suit. Adrian wanted to take her training uniform for dry cleaning, but Olivia didn't allow her to do that. Adrian would feel bad about letting it go like this for Ladyship Olivia. Even though Adrian insisted, Olivia didn't want her to do it and asked her to step out of her way. Everyone started mumbling about Lady Bonaparte and Lady Olivia, and Olivia was being overreactive to a small spill on her shirt. Olivia didn't even understand what she did. Sir Giorgio came and put his hands over Olivia's shoulder. He asked if she was all right. Olivia wondered how Sir Giorgio got there. In the actual novel, Olivia flips over the tray of food in Adrian's hands, making a mess, and Adrian gets terrified. Sir Giorgio helps the female lead and gets her up, asking if she was hurt or not. But now, the arm Giorgio was holding was Olivia's. She was fine and a little wet, and she didn't understand what was going on. She was surprised but felt like the story was a total mess. Adrian approached Sir Giorgio and realized they knew each other, which was a relief for her. Sir Giorgio reminded Lady Adrian that Olivia had asked her to leave, so why did she keep insisting on staying? Adrian was scared and didn't understand what to do, as Olivia was not accepting her apologies and became angrier. It's not everyone's duty to accept her apology and stop everything because she felt bad. He misunderstood her intentions as she only wanted to apologize, but he kept blaming her for suddenly spilling juice on Olivia's training uniform. More importantly, Olivia didn't get angry, she just asked her to move out of her way. He clearly asked Lady Adrian if she didn't intentionally spill that juice on Olivia, she should get out of her way. Lady Adrian got more scared and apologized. He asked Olivia to keep moving. Even though he was right, she made a big deal out of nothing. Olivia wondered if she did it on purpose. At the Asna clinic, Hilo was making tea for Olivia. He was surprised that for the first time, Giorgio had brought his friends there. But they were not friends. Hilo wondered if they were lovers. Giorgio reminded him that he went too far with his saying. Olivia wondered why she was even there. Hilo left them alone so they could talk, and he also told her that she could drop by anytime. She was glad to Hilo for the herbal tea he made. Giorgio thought they were alone, but Olivia knew they were not alone there. One was upstairs, one in the next room, and two were lurking behind her. In total, 6 people were there. She wondered if he was familiar with Adrien. She wanted to figure out if they were still following the story as in the novel. Before he wanted to answer anything, he wanted to know something from Olivia. He told her that he liked Olivia as a man likes a woman. She thought he was picking a fight with her because she hurt his pride. Maybe that was the reason he helped her. She wondered why he started saying all this suddenly. Well, Giorgio doesn't need a reason to confess anything. To think of her first love confession, she didn't expect it to be from the second main lead. And she wanted to avoid death, so she wasn't interested at all. Olivia declined it and asked again how he knew Adrien. Giorgio wondered how cold she was and asked if she liked someone. She did mention she didn't like anyone but was passionately and sincerely in love with someone. Giorgio was in shock and jealous. He asked her who he was. It wasn't important to Olivia, and she asked him again if he was going to answer her or not. Giorgio was Adrien's assistant. They only knew each other by name. He remembered that around last year in the cafeteria, the same incident happened with Lady Adrien and the humanities students. It was also a spill of juice. She asked if he helped her. He certainly did help her, and that was it. She wondered why Giorgio was the person who had to fall in love with her. According to the original story, Giorgio falls in love with Adrien first, but he wasn't in love with her, so it had yet to happen. Olivia wondered if that never happened with them. He did say he liked her, but he never said the same to Adrien. Olivia understood everything. She wondered if they both didn't know each other that well, which meant she hadn't met the crown prince yet. Adrien knew Renato by name and face, but Renato never had an interest in girls. She wondered if Renato had a type. Giorgio said he liked girls with some unique ability. In the original story, the crown prince was head over heels for her, but now he wasn't even interested in Adrien. He told her his type in women, but she was angry and held herself back only once. She thanked him for his help but never wanted to see him again. It was evening. She came out of there and wondered what the point of hiding was when things were clear. She noticed that the top room was for Renato, but she didn't understand why people were positioned outside. He came inside and got to know she had refused him. He asked about Lady Adrien. Lady Adrien's mind control didn't work on Lady Olivia. She had no reaction. And Adrien was standing there. Renato knew Olivia was the daughter of the formidable northern side. If someone liked her, it might be from the same land as her side. It was clear to Giorgio that Lady Olivia was not on the same side as Lady Adrien, so Lady Adrien was most likely working for the Empress. Lady Adrien took out a note, and it had Lady Olivia's name written on it. Lady Adrien wondered why Olivia doesn't obey her. She burnt the paper and called Olivia stupid for not understanding what she was saying. Meanwhile, in the room, Renato and Giorgio were still talking about Lady Adrien being after the crown princess. Lady Olivia was not involved in that and had no interest in them as well. Rather, Giorgio told him she was more interested in him and Adrien not knowing each other. Renato wondered why his relationship with Adrien interested Lady Olivia. He remembered his father's words about calling off the candidates for the crown princess and choosing Lady Olivia instead. Renato was also ready for Lady Olivia over the other candidates, but Giorgio wondered whom she loved. Renato got scared and asked why he was asking him. Giorgio was just curious to know who it could be. Giorgio knew it was not him, and it would be troublesome if it was him since they knew each other very well. About Lady Olivia, she might be protecting her man and no one can win against her, so just give up. Giorgio let her abuse his kindness. When she gets angry, Giorgio can gift her anything she wants. Lady Adrien was wondering why Giorgio was not falling for her. She thought she had him there, but he slipped from her fingers and backstabbed her. It was annoying that she was not able to meet the crown prince. A man from behind came in, and she asked how it went. He told her they went to the clinic. She wasn't hurt, he told her. He was not able to hear what they were talking about because people were standing there for the crown prince. Giorgio never took her there and wondered if Olivia had met the crown prince already. Adrien wondered how skilled she was. She was able to defeat Arnold, who was intermediate, so she was somewhat near to master skilled. Olivia had already acquired master skills. That was the reason she didn't fall for her trap. The man sat in front of her and asked her not to put herself in danger and to stay away from that girl. He wanted to go back, but Adrien had no choice. They both had come a long way for this. The guy didn't like the idea of Adrien seducing other guys, but it was all business. She had already told him that she loves him, and during the time when he was away, there was no one to protect her. There wasn't any danger for her there, and the guy was also looking after her. She asked him to leave her room. The man got out of the window and left. She closed the windows and started planning her next move. The next day at the training ground, there were many people present. Every department was invited to watch the swordsman class assignment, and everyone showed up. She knew that Giorgio must be in the crowd as well. She started to feel lightheaded. Jasmia asked if she was feeling okay. She was fine but worried about Giorgio showing up. Rules were announced by 3 people, and if they got out of the ring or lost their sword, they would lose. They arranged the matches in such a way that it was like a tournament. 10 students from each year would be divided into 4 groups, and 2 students would compete at a time. She figured out that she had to fight 6 people. Olivia wanted to finish quickly and eat something. Matches started to begin, and everything went as she expected. Olivia's friend got out of the match first, while Olivia stood her ground. She kept on winning matches. Olivia's friend really wanted to be with her in the same class, so Olivia agreed to teach her. She was glad that Olivia was ready to help. She noticed that the guy who was fighting in the ground was the one who came earlier to tell her that Giorgio was looking for her. He was moving fast and agile. He didn't seem to be a commoner, rather an ex-soldier. With that kind of movement, he must have been a highly skilled soldier. She wondered what he was doing there. He noticed that Olivia was looking at him, so he smiled at her. Olivia was surprised. She wondered why he was looking at her like he wanted her to praise him. It was Lady Olivia's turn to fight. She was against Sir Alan. People were whispering that Lady Olivia might win against him, even though Alan had scored first place in the entrance exam. There could be a possibility that Olivia might take over him. They both got into position and started fighting. From the top, Renato and Giorgio were watching their fight. Olivia seemed strong to Giorgio. Giorgio felt jealous of the guy who was fighting against Olivia, and wanted to pick up the sword again. Renato was still confused about something. Ever since he saw her in the parade after the subjugation army returned, he was not able to forget about her. Why did she cry that day? He didn't understand. The one who cried in her father's arms, was it really her? That side of her he had never seen before. As she was fighting, the cries were nowhere to be seen now. He wondered if that's how she pushes her limits and breaks her fronts. He had a burning desire to challenge her to a duel. Why did she even refuse the offer for Crown Princess? Renato had finally desired someone for the first time. Lady Olivia won that match. Adrian came there to apologize to Giorgio for her behavior the other day. She asked if Olivia was all right. Olivia was doing great and nothing needed to be concerned about, Giorgio said. Adrian noticed ladyship, and she got to know that she was in the swordsmanship department. She was wearing the same uniform as yesterday. Adrian saw she had won the match and wondered that she must be incredibly strong. She asked Sir Giorgio to introduce her to his companion. She was always like this. Adrian couldn't address Renato directly, so she asked Giorgio to help her. Giorgio wasn't feeling good about that and was thinking of moving somewhere else. By that time, Renato said he was going somewhere else. He kept walking even when Giorgio asked him to stop. By then, even Giorgio excused himself from Lady Adrian and followed Renato. Renato got out of there quickly. Giorgio was glad that he got out of that situation because of him. Renato had seen his facial expression and wasn't feeling good. It was all because of how she was with Lady Olivia, but Giorgio wasn't feeling good standing beside Adrian. Renato wanted him to bear it for now as they had yet to uncover the truth about Adrian. Meanwhile, Olivia placed first in the classroom assignment. Everyone there was clapping for her. Ray came to congratulate Olivia. She was happy to see Ray there. Ray was watching the match and noticed that she was as strong as always. She seemed confused about what he meant by that. He used his magic powers and blew chilled winds there. It felt so nice to Olivia that she forgot what he meant by that. She wanted to be his good friend. She felt much better after that. She wondered why he wasn't in his class as everyone went to their classes. It was about to start at 11. Olivia didn't have any class, so she was hoping to get washed, eat, and sleep. Ray insisted on escorting her. She felt so good that a pretty guy like him offered to escort her. She wanted Daniel to learn from him. She didn't want him to be late for class. As for him, he could walk to the dorms and then teleport himself to the classroom. Ray was such a gentleman that he could get any young woman. She wondered if Kyle had any of his qualities. He would have been married by now. The weather was nice, and she felt great. She also won first place, and a handsome young man was walking with her. She felt good about herself. She wanted Daniel to be there with her. 5th Street Demire. The Air House was a pub where youngsters used to gather. Everyone from the swordsman department was present there to drink something. She was there to hang out with her colleagues. Alan, Chris, and Ron were already there. They waved at Olivia. She had matches with those 3. They really found fun in the assignment. Ron had no idea how she would be able to block his attack. They were chit-chatting, and Jasmia noticed that Alan was so serious. He didn't understand what she meant. Jasmia wanted everyone to ignore Alan as he was shy and it was his idea to gather there. But Alan never said it was his idea. Alan got so red-faced when Jasmia was there, and Jasmia was clingy to him as well. She found them cute. She wondered if they were so close to each other, but Jasmia and Alan were just childhood friends. Jasmia didn't want to be close to Alan but rather to Olivia. The same goes for Alan as well. She understood that it was blurring the line between friendship and love. She could directly sense a trace of romance between them. She found that the beer drink was so to her taste. They kept drinking and got drunk a lot. Alan advised Olivia not to drink much. He called her Lady Olivia, to which Olivia replied to call her only Olivia. They were classmates. He thought Olivia hated him because of his brother getting on her nerves. She was drunk and didn't remember his brother. He wondered if she did not know his name. She knew it was Alan, but little did she know that it was Alan d'Este, the brother of Sir Giorgio d'Este. Her hangover got over, and she wondered if he was the brother of Sir Giorgio. He was, and he was told they look alike. She looked at him very carefully, and in every different way, they were very similar to each other. Alan took away the bottle as she was drunk a lot. He insisted that he would drop her home, but she didn't want to. He wondered why she didn't want to go. She let him know that someone was picking her up. He again tried to take the bottle from her as she kept drinking, but she wanted to be drunk. Alan asked her why she wanted to be drunk. She found that he was insisting a lot. He was handsome, belonged to a good family, and was treating her with respect. His swordsmanship was admirable. She was standing close to Alan and said it was such a shame. Alan was confused about what she said. Someone asked what was a shame. She looked there and saw it was Daniel standing there. He asked what was shame about. Olivia was surprised to see him and hugged him directly. Before she started drinking a lot, she sent a note through the BR pub with a generous tip to deliver a note to Daniel, who was at the mansion. She had drunk a lot, and Daniel came there to get her quickly. He was ready to take her to their place. She was happy to hear his voice after a long time. As she was telling him about the assignment, Ron, Alan, and Chris were totally shocked. Daniel had already taken care of the bill, and since Olivia was drunk, he was taking her home. They came out of the BR pub shop. Daniel was holding her in his hands. Alan came out and asked him if he was perhaps Sir Daniel Meridian. It was him, and he wanted Alan to understand not to waste his girl's time again. Daniel understood he was Giorgio's brother. Alan wondered what the relationship between Olivia and Daniel was. Daniel got angry as Alan addressed her as Olivia rather than Lady Olivia. Since they were colleagues, it was fine to address her without using the prefix lady. Daniel got angry and wanted his junior not to call her that again. As he was also in the academy, he should be aware of it. Alan hated when someone acted like how Daniel was acting. Alan again asked Daniel about their relationship. He told him that whenever she got drunk, he picked her up. They lived together and they were responsible for each other. Alan understood what Daniel was saying to him. Alan thought he did not have to worry about Daniel Meridian because he loved Olivia. As they were in the carriage, he wondered why she drank so much. She wanted to have the liquid courage inside her, Olivia mumbled. Daniel didn't hear her properly. She liked him so much, and she was not able to tell him when she was sober. She said she liked Daniel a lot. She wondered why he didn't like her back. He was about to admit it but thought he should give her an answer on Friday when he'd be there to pick her up. They arrived at the mansion. He raised his hands in support for Olivia, but rather than taking his hands, she kissed him on his forehead. Daniel was surprised, and the carriage runner saw everything. Daniel felt so embarrassed there. Daniel wondered if it would be so unfair if she forgot again what happened. The carriage runner was just looking at an embarrassed Daniel. Olivia had issues with blacking out after drinking. She was no different than Daisy in terms of blacking out. They both missed important things in memory. Olivia had no memory of their incident on the night of the dance. She was leaving for Demire again tomorrow. As they were dancing, Daniel understood that he couldn't watch her falling in love with someone else. But there was a fear inside Daniel's heart. His father wouldn't accept him as a knight after confessing his love for Olivia. He couldn't stand by her when he felt away. As he was leaving, Olivia held his shirt. She didn't want him to go away. She was worried that he would marry some other girl. But Daniel would not marry some other girl. Daniel had already confessed that he wouldn't wait until she graduated. He was done with waiting, so he was going with her. She was glad to hear that he was coming with her. Since she had decided to court him, he wanted her to take responsibility for her actions as well. She agreed that she would take her responsibilities. The next morning, she woke up in her Sumhal Academy room. She was having a headache. She came out of her room, and a girl was sitting there. She was Violet Castell. She was Olivia's roommate in Sumhal Academy. Olivia wondered if she was the one who designed the drawing room. Violet thought Olivia didn't like it. Olivia loved it. Violet got to know that Olivia liked her meals in her room, so she adjusted the drawing rooms accordingly. Violet was interested in eating together with her, as she was also used to eating in her bedroom. Olivia agreed, and since she was hungry, she asked her. They both got ready quickly for eating. Olivia enjoyed the breakfast with Violet. She was not uncomfortable around Olivia and treated her warmly. Olivia asked which department she was in. Violet was in the magic department. Ray also belonged to the magic department, and she asked her if Violet knew about Ray. Violet suddenly flinched, and she wondered if Olivia meant Reynold. Violet got even angrier when Olivia described his purple hair and blue eyes. She wondered if he told her to call him Ray. Violet was getting angrier. Olivia got scared as Violet was getting angry. She didn't understand what she had said wrong. She felt like she had screwed up. She cleared the misunderstanding between her and Violet. Olivia already had someone whom she liked, and Ray was just her good friend. Violet was surprised. She thought Ray and Olivia were promised to get married. Why would Olivia marry Violet's boyfriend, she thought. Olivia thought that in the West, maybe people use nicknames only for couples. They had only met twice, and Olivia could not even call him her friend. They had only exchanged their names. Violet suddenly asked her what kind of man she liked. It was an interesting question. They weren't really lovers at the moment, but Olivia had confessed her feelings and was waiting for a reply. Violet was surprised that Olivia was able to confess it. It's a common thing in the North, even though it's not. Violet wanted Olivia to tell her more about her lover. Olivia started describing Daniel's hair, dark eyes, great physique, thick eyebrows, and sculpted nose. When she started talking about his lips, she got so shy about them. Violet wondered how come her face got so red suddenly and with an unusual expression. She got shy thinking about Daniel and her. They both had a great time together. Violet enjoyed Olivia's company as well. Violet came out and took a deep breath, standing there. Violet suddenly got shy and covered her entire face with her hands. She was wondering that Lady Olivia had called her by her name and had even given her permission to call her Olivia rather than using the prefix lady. She understood that it was her, the one Ray always used to watch from behind the trees when she used to ride a horse. The white-headed girl. She had given up a room just to get transferred with Olivia. Violet had a moment that after the match, she would talk to Olivia, but Ray came there before her and didn't let her anywhere near Olivia. She was able to accomplish breakfast with her. She was able to use the full advantage of being her roommate. Lola wondered why she drank so much yesterday. Olivia was drunk because she had made a few new friends. Lola didn't understand how Sir Daniel went there to pick up Olivia. Well, it was Olivia who sent him a message to pick her up. Lola asked if she remembered anything that happened last night. She walked to her room on her own, and she remembered the kiss she gave to Daniel. How could she forget it? Olivia asked Lola what day it was. Wednesday, Lola replied. Olivia was happy that Daniel would be there to pick her up on Friday. They were planning to spend time on the weekend at the Versace mansion. She was definitely ready to spend time with Daniel. Lola noticed that light was coming out of the crystal ball. Before she went to Demire, her father gave her the voice recording crystal ball. It was similar to a cell phone. The ball was directly connected to Versace Castle. The call got connected. It was her father. He was worried about whether everything was going great for her. Kyle came there as well. Her father and Kyle started fighting to talk with Olivia. She wondered if they had this fight before calling her. Kyle asked if Olivia and Daniel met the Emperor. She did meet the Emperor, and Daniel decided to work as a royal guard temporarily. They told her that the crystal ball also connects with Daisy and Daniel as well. She was surprised. Daniel had been their family's guard for a long time, and he had overseen the operation in Demire up until now, and that was the reason so many nobles were careful around him. When they entered the palace, no one at the Emperor's palace stopped him, and no one in the north could point a finger at Olivia as Daniel Meridian was her guardian. Daniel was not going to Demire all the time, but after Olivia's birthday party, he got involved with going along with Olivia. Olivia wondered why it was only after the party. It was after he got her to bed. Maybe they had a good talk about something. She remembered it was Daniel who brought her to her bed. All the preparations were made, but just before leaving, Daniel was ready to go with Olivia, and that was the reason her father couldn't tell her. She felt guilty for scolding him about getting a job at the Emperor's. She got lost in her thoughts until her father called for her again. She was a bit tired and told them not to overlook the paperwork and also mentioned not to be on the border for a long time. Her father and brother both started making excuses when she started talking about the paperwork. She understood that son and father were both alike. They were having fun running away from work. She was relieved as she went from Versace Castle, but now her part was still worrying. Maybe because she was away from home. Knowing how Olivia was used and treated in the original story and how she was cast out made her scared, but she was okay with Daniel and her. She expressed her love to her father and brother. She didn't want to let Daniel go away. Kyle and his father were both shocked when she said she loved them. Kyle asked his father if he heard her. They started arguing over whom she said that to, and the butler had to stop their argument. At 5th Street Demire, they decided to open a Laban branch on the first floor of the building. 5th Street was the most expensive place, which meant high rent as well, but Olivia's investments paid well. Laban was being handled by Daisy. She was there and asked Oscar if he had a girlfriend. Oscar got pissed. Oscar thought she was trying to tease him because he didn't have a girlfriend. Daisy asked Oscar to go out with her. Oscar was shocked to hear this. Kyle slammed his hand on the table. He had been talking about this with his father for a long time and meant it was time for it. His father seemed uninterested and told him not to think about it. Sam came and told them that the meeting preparations had been done. His father got up and told Kyle that if he had nothing to do, he should be doing some work at the castle. Kyle just wanted his father to hear him at least once. Kyle had a dream last night, and ever since that dream, he had a hunch. Kyle got on his knees before his father. His father didn't understand what the hunch was. Kyle had a dream of getting married. He had a hunch about that ever since long ago. His father advised him to throw away the hunch. But this time, Kyle was determined that he should go to Demire. Oscar was pale-faced. He was hesitating with his words when Daisy told him to get married. Oscar was all sweaty, and he seemed cheeky for the past few days. But Daisy was serious about them getting married. Oscar was surprised and asked her what was wrong with her. He had a taste in women as well. Daisy wondered what was wrong with her. Oscar tried to sneak out of there, saying he had an important meeting. Daisy got angry and made him sit there while he was crying out his tears. It was a joke Daisy did. Oscar was relieved that it was a joke, but she wouldn't have been able to handle it if Oscar had taken that offer of getting married to her. She still had a plan in her mind and thought maybe she should use it. He wondered what her plan was. It was to make him jealous. Oscar had a bad feeling about that plan. The plan was simple. They'll get word that Daisy is dating another man. And if he loves her, he would come back to her in tears. She read this in a storybook. Oscar wondered if she was asking him to be that man for her. It was him. She wanted him to act as that man. Oscar was scared of Kyle as he was a sword master. If he heard Oscar was dating Daisy, he would definitely not spare him. She had no choice. She knew he had feelings for her, but he was not giving her any reactions. Oscar had noticed Kyle's feelings for Daisy, and that's why she wanted him to help Daisy. Oscar asked if he did not give a reaction, would she give up on him? She was ready to give up on him if he did not react. Oscar asked if that was the case, would she care to marry him? She didn't agree to that thought but wanted to decide Lady Olivia and Daniel first. She gave him the money for the engagement rings and told him to buy a big fat diamond. He could buy anything he wanted. She gave him blank checks. Oscar was feeling sparkled. He went to buy the ring. In some Hell Academy, even after being assigned to their classes, they had to gather at the training grounds in the early morning for strength training. They were running in loops one after another. They had been running in loops for an hour and a half. They were totally covered in dust and sweat. After the rest of 30 minutes, newbies were to stand on the ground, and intermediates and advances were to stand on the other ground. They were gathered there to learn the basics of defense and military operations used in the army. This knowledge was important when it came to handling large-scale armies or crowds. 10 students were assigned first to learn the basics from the advanced level. For the entire class, they pushed themselves, swinging their swords and defending through shields. They kept going on. Rest was given for 30 minutes. She was tired and sitting under the tree. It was definitely a military training academy, she thought. Alan came and asked if she went home safely last night. Well, nothing had happened to her, so she did go safely. As if he wished something had happened. She didn't ask for his consolation, she said. Neither was she grateful to him, at least. Alan wondered if she liked Daniel a lot. She got shy. She definitely liked him a lot. Alan thought maybe because he was good looking. That's the reason she liked him, but rather she liked everything about Daniel. Picking her up, living together, and being responsible for each other. She didn't understand what Alan was talking about. He risked himself to Daniel just to know what his relationship with Olivia was. And that's what Daniel answered him. Sir Daniel was the family's representative, so it was natural that they were living together in the same house. He was her personal escort, so he was responsible for picking her up. But she didn't understand why they were responsible for each other. Alan wondered how come she didn't take the hint. She asked Alan if he knew. If a person says those words, it clearly means the woman belongs to him, he said. She wondered if he saw her as a woman. She was flattered to know Daniel's thoughts about her. She was wondering if he liked her. The Emperor and Milo were talking about Olivia getting first place in the swordsman department. He asked if Milo had something to say. But she was really blood to Versace. The Emperor got angry because he thought it was all because of Cecilia and her skills with a sword. Milo also told him that Olivia was actually using the Meridian style while fighting. He asked his informer if Renardo and Olivia met. Renardo did watch her while fighting, but it didn't seem like they knew each other. But he was accompanied by Lady Bonaparte. That was the only news he had from the Bonaparte family. Lady Bonaparte, the emperor remembered a baron. He called Lady Bonaparte a bastard child, and a baron who owns a meager plot of land. She had blonde hair and used Giorgio to get close with the crown prince. She was involved in multiple incidents on campus but never got along with female students. The emperor wondered what kind of taste he had in women. He wondered if she had any connection with the empress. All they knew was that they both had origins in the west. He was about to get more information for the emperor. The emperor asked Milo's thoughts on Baron Bonaparte. He knew that Baron Bonaparte had come several times to see her in the past. He would check and tell the emperor as well. He ordered Jerome to mobilize his crews and find out everything about them, from love life to financial statements. Milo wondered why the emperor asked Jerome to mobilize the crew. It was because Olivia and Reynold were both present in Demire. Milo asked why the emperor wasn't worried about the crown prince. The emperor knew that the crown prince already had all the information, so he had trust in his son. Reynold was too strong, and he's at the Tower of Magic at the moment. He noticed the emperor that Prince Reynold was showing up in the academy frequently. The emperor was in shock, and he dropped his teacup. He got worried all of a sudden. He asked how Reynold was at the academy. Let's see that in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.